Have you ever been sitting quietly in your living room, maybe scrolling through your phone or sipping a cup of tea, when suddenly out of nowhere, your cat transforms into a lightning bolt? 1 second they're lounging peacefully. The next they're a blur of fur racing across the hallway, skating around corners, leaping over furniture, eyes wide with a look of pure wildness. They dash under the table, rocket up the stairs, and then just as suddenly as it began, they stop. They sit down, lick their paw with the calm dignity of royalty, as if the last 60 seconds of absolute chaos never happened. If you're smiling right now, it's because you've seen it. You've lived through it. You know the madness of the Zoomies. Scientists call it Frenetic Random Activity Periods. But let's be honest, it looks more like your cat has been possessed by some invisible spirit of chaos. Every cat parent knows this spectacle, but here's the secret. What seems like random insanity is actually one of the most fascinating windows into your cat's true nature. And once you understand it, you'll never look at those late-night sprints the same way again. Think about it. Your cat spends most of the day sleeping, 16 hours, sometimes more. They sprawl on the couch, curl in a sunbeam, maybe even steal your spot on the bed. It seems like they have no energy at all. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Zoomies aren't just about burning calories, they're instinct. They're practice. Inside your home lives a creature designed by millions of years of evolution to be a predator. Those sudden bursts of speed, the sharp turns, the leaps into the air, those are hunting drills. To us, it looks ridiculous. To your cat, it's survival rehearsal. Every mad dash is their DNA whispering, run, chase, pounce, and yet, there's something strangely magical about watching it. In those wild seconds, your cat isn't just a fluffy pet. They're a shadow of their ancestors, desert hunters built for speed and precision. They're connecting to instincts older than civilization itself. The Zoomies are chaos, yes, but they're also nature, distilled into pure feline energy, unfolding right in your living room. So the next time your cat bolts across the floor at midnight, knocking over a plant or two, remember this: you're not watching madness. You're watching ancient instinct come alive in the most unexpected way. And as we dive deeper into this mystery, you'll discover that those Zoomies aren't random at all. They're a secret language, one that reveals just how extraordinary your cat really is. To really understand why Zoomies happen, you need to look beyond the living room and into the wild. Because the truth is, your cat's midnight sprints aren't just random acts of silliness, they're echoes of their ancient ancestors. Imagine a wildcat, stalking silently through tall grass, eyes fixed on a small bird or rodent. In that moment, everything depends on speed, power, and precision. One sudden burst of energy is the difference between a successful hunt and an empty belly. That same survival code is still written into your house cat's DNA, even though they now have bowls full of kibble and a cozy spot on the couch. The instincts of a hunter never disappeared. Zoomies are nature's way of keeping those reflexes sharp. Every dash across your hallway is, in their mind, a chase. Every sharp turn is an ambush. Every leap onto the furniture is a pounce. To them, your home isn't just a safe space, it's a training ground, a miniature jungle where they rehearse the skills their ancestors once relied on. And if you've ever noticed the look in your cat's eyes during a Zoomie, you know it's not just random excitement. Their pupils dilate, their whiskers push forward, their whole body vibrates with focus. That's not chaos, that's concentration. It's as if something ancient awakens inside them for just a few seconds, turning your fluffy companion into a sleek predator from thousands of years ago. What makes this even more fascinating is how selective the behavior is. Cats don't zoom constantly. They save it for specific times, often at dawn or dusk, and that's no coincidence. In the wild, those are the prime hunting hours. Early morning and early evening are when prey animals are most active, and predators, like cats, are hardwired to respond. So when your kitty decides to go berserk right before bedtime, it isn't poor timing, it's instinct. They're syncing with the rhythm of their ancestors. But there's more. Zoomies also serve another hidden function: emotional release. Hunting in the wild isn't just about catching food, it's about survival under pressure. That pressure creates bursts of adrenaline, and cats are built to channel that energy into motion. In the safety of your home, they don't need to catch prey to eat, but the body still demands release. So the Zoomie becomes a substitute, a way to burn adrenaline, to shake off tension, and to feel alive. When you put it all together, Zoomies become more than just comic relief for us. They're a living reminder that no matter how domesticated our cats may seem, they're still wild at heart. Every midnight sprint is an echo of the savannah, every skid across the floor a shadow of the hunt. And the more you see it through their eyes, the more you realize you're not just sharing your home with a pet. You're living with a tiny tiger, practicing the dance of survival right under your roof. But instinct and hunting practice aren't the only reasons your cat suddenly bolts around like a tiny maniac. Sometimes, the triggers behind zoomies are far stranger and a little more personal. If you've ever noticed your cat tearing around the house right after using the litter box, you're not imagining things. Post-litter box zoomies are a very real phenomenon. Why does this happen? One theory is simple relief. Imagine carrying around pressure in your stomach, then suddenly letting it go. That burst of freedom might just feel like the perfect excuse for a sprint. Another explanation dives into the nervous system. Deep inside your cat's body runs the vagus nerve, connecting the brain to many vital organs. For some cats, the act of going to the bathroom stimulates that nerve, sparking a sudden rush of energy. What to us looks like absurd comedy could, in their bodies, be a genuine physiological reaction. Then there are the environmental triggers. Cats are incredibly sensitive creatures. A flicker of light, a sudden noise, or even a scent drifting in through an open window can set them off. To you, it might be the hum of the refrigerator. To them, it's a vibration worth investigating at full speed. They don't always understand the source of these triggers, but their bodies react as if it's a call to action. Run, leap, escape, or chase. And let's not forget the role of boredom. Cats may spend hours napping, but that doesn't mean they enjoy being idle all the time. They're intelligent, curious animals who crave stimulation. In a world where prey no longer needs to be stalked, and food appears twice a day in a shiny bowl, frustration builds up. Zoomies can become a feline's way of saying, I need excitement. I need something to do. It's the four-legged equivalent of a human pacing the room or tapping their foot endlessly when they're restless. Stress can also fuel zoomies. A change in routine, a new piece of furniture, even unfamiliar guests can make a cat anxious. Instead of sulking, some cats burn that nervous energy by blasting around the house. For them, it's a way to cope, to shake off the invisible pressure of stress. What's truly fascinating is how unpredictable it all seems from the outside. One moment, your cat is curled up like a loaf of bread, utterly still. The next, they're darting across the floor like their life depends on it. Yet behind the randomness lies a pattern and interplay of biology, instinct, environment, and emotion. When you watch closely, you'll see that zoomies aren't just bursts of chaos. They're little windows into your cat's inner world. A sprint after the litter box might be their body's odd response to relief. A midnight frenzy could be boredom or pure instinct. And a sudden dash across the room after a loud noise might simply be their nervous system saying, danger, move now. Every zoomie tells a story. The trick is learning to read it. And when you do, you start to realize that even in their craziest moments, your cat is communicating something important about their health, their instincts, or even their emotional state. For most cat parents, zoomies are nothing more than a source of laughter. We grab our phones, hit record, and share the chaos online. But hidden beneath the comedy, there's an important truth every cat owner should know. Not all zoomies are created equal. Sometimes they're perfectly normal, even healthy. Other times, they can be a red flag. Let's start with the good news. The majority of zoomies are completely harmless. They happen occasionally, usually at predictable times late at night, early in the morning, or after a long nap. They last a few minutes, maybe less, and your cat always looks like they're having fun. Their body language tells the story. Tail up, ears forward, movements quick but confident. Afterward, they might flop onto the floor, start grooming, or simply curl up again, as if nothing happened. That's the feline equivalent of a good workout and a satisfied sigh. Nothing to worry about there. But sometimes zoomies cross into unusual territory. If they happen too often multiple times a day, every day, or they last far longer than usual, it might be time to pay attention, especially if your cat's body language shifts from playful to panicked. A cat sprinting joyfully looks very different from a cat running in fear. Look at the tail, the ears, the eyes. Playful zoomies are bouncy, almost exaggerated. Anxious zoomies are tighter, sharper, with the body low to the ground, as if they're fleeing an invisible threat. And then there's the question of underlying health. Some medical conditions can mimic or intensify zoomies. Hyperthyroidism, for example, can cause sudden bursts of energy and restlessness, especially in older cats. Skin irritation from fleas or allergies can also send a cat darting around as if something's crawling on them, because it is. Even pain can trigger zoomie-like behavior, with cats running suddenly to escape discomfort they don't understand. Another important distinction: zoomies versus compulsive behavior. True zoomies are spontaneous and short-lived. Compulsions repeat in the same way, over and over, sometimes for long stretches. If your cat seems trapped in a loop of frantic running, circling, or repetitive motions, it's not just zoomies, it's a cry for help. That's why observation matters. Nobody knows your cat better than you do. If their zoomies look the same as always, short, silly, and harmless, relax and enjoy the show. But if something feels different, trust your instincts. Veterinary science has shown that cats often hide illness until it becomes serious. Changes in routine behaviors like zoomies happening too much or looking unusually intense can be one of the earliest warning signs. So, the key is balance. Laugh at the silly midnight sprints, but also pay attention. Your cat's zoomies are more than just entertainment. They're a barometer of health, emotion, and instinct. Most of the time, they're a celebration of life and energy, but sometimes they're a signal. And learning to tell the difference could make all the difference for your furry friend. So what do you actually do when your cat is zooming around like a furry tornado? Should you stop them, laugh along, or just stay out of the way? The answer lies somewhere in between. Zoomies, as wild as they look, can be guided into something positive for both you and your cat. The first and most important tool you have is play. Cats are natural hunters, and interactive play gives them a safe outlet for that instinct. A feather wand that flutters like a bird, a toy mouse on a string, or even the classic red dot of a laser pointer can transform chaotic zoomies into structured fun. Instead of crashing into walls, your cat gets to chase, pounce, and catch something that satisfies their instincts. A 10-minute play session before bedtime can work wonders for reducing those disruptive midnight sprints. But toys alone aren't enough. Your cat's environment plays a huge role in shaping their energy. Imagine living in a plain, empty room with nothing to explore. You'd go stir-crazy too. Cats thrive in enriched spaces. A cat tree gives them a vertical jungle to climb. A window perch lets them watch birds and squirrels, keeping their mind engaged. Puzzle feeders challenge their intelligence and give them a sense of accomplishment. Even simple cardboard boxes or paper bags can spark curiosity and burn energy. By making their environment stimulating, you help prevent zoomies born from boredom. Another factor to consider is safety. Zoomies can be funny until your cat skids across the kitchen floor and crashes into a cabinet. Clearing safe pathways where your cat can sprint without hitting obstacles is a simple way to prevent accidents. If you know your cat is prone to nighttime zoomies, make sure fragile items are out of reach, cords are tucked away, and breakables are secure. Think of it as child-proofing, but for a very fast, very agile predator. Diet also plays a role. The kind of food your cat eats influences their energy levels. A balanced diet with high-quality protein fuels healthy bursts of energy without tipping into hyperactivity. Sugary treats or poor-quality food can create erratic spikes in energy, making zoomies more frequent or intense. Just as an athlete's performance depends on what they eat, your cat's zoomie sessions are shaped by their nutrition. And perhaps the most overlooked tool of all, your presence. Cats may seem independent, but they crave interaction. When you spend time engaging with them, whether through play, gentle petting, or simply being nearby, you provide emotional stability. That stability can reduce zoomies triggered by stress or loneliness. In other words, you become part of the solution, not just an amused spectator. So instead of dreading zoomies or trying to suppress them, think of them as energy you can redirect. With the right mix of play, environment, safety, nutrition, and companionship, those wild sprints become more than random chaos. They become proof of a healthy, happy cat, living life to the fullest. Here's something most people overlook. Zoomies aren't just about exercise or instinct, they're also about connection. Every time your cat darts across the room, every time they circle around you before blasting off again, they're revealing something about the bond they share with you. Think about it. Cats are cautious creatures by nature. In the wild, showing vulnerability, exposing their soft belly, sleeping deeply, or sprinting in open spaces could put them in danger. But in your home, when your cat feels safe enough to unleash their wildest, most uninhibited behavior, it's a sign of trust. They know that in your presence, they can let go. They can be ridiculous, reckless, unfiltered, and still be safe. Some cat parents notice that zoomies often happen when they're nearby. You might be sitting on the couch when suddenly your cat streaks past you, dashes into another room, then returns to leap over your lap as if you're part of their racetrack. To an outsider, it's chaos. To your cat, it's inclusion. They're inviting you into their world of energy and play. It's their way of saying, you're part of my territory, part of my life, part of this crazy moment. And there's something deeper too. Scientists who study feline behavior have found that cats often tailor their energy bursts to the rhythms of their household. That means your cat's zoomies may be subtly synced with you when you wake up, when you come home, when the house feels lively. In a way, they're mirroring the pulse of your family life. That wild midnight dash, It might not be random at all. It might be your cat's way of participating in the energy of the household, even when you think everyone's asleep. This is why understanding zoomies matters. When you recognize that they're not signs of madness, but expressions of instinct, emotion, and trust, you start to see your cat differently. Instead of thinking, my cat has gone crazy, you think, my cat feels alive, safe, and happy in my care. That shift in perspective doesn't just help your cat, it transforms you into a better cat parent. Because being a great cat parent isn't about stopping the zoomies, it's about learning their language, appreciating their needs, and responding in ways that strengthen the bond between you. Maybe that means scheduling playtime so their energy is released on your terms. Maybe it means laughing along instead of scolding when they sprint across the hall. Or maybe it's simply sitting still and letting them circle you, reminding yourself that this chaos is actually love in motion. At the end of the day, zoomies are more than entertainment. They're a glimpse into the hidden emotional life of your cat. Every mad dash is a message. I trust you. I feel safe here. I can be myself with you. And when you recognize that message, the zoomies stop being chaos and start being something beautiful, living proof of the invisible bond between you and your feline companion. Not every cat is a zoomie machine. Some cats seem to explode with energy every evening, sprinting like Olympic sprinters around the house, while others prefer a calmer existence, stretching lazily on the couch and rarely breaking into a run. So why the difference? The answer lies in a fascinating mix of personality, age, and past experience. Just like people, cats are individuals. Some are naturally bold and playful, wired to seek stimulation and adventure. These are the cats who launch into zoomies with very little prompting. They hear a tiny noise, see a shadow flicker on the wall, and suddenly they're gone in a flash of fur. For them, life is a constant game, and zoomies are just another way to celebrate being alive. Other cats are more reserved. They may love quietly sitting by the window or curling up beside you, but zoomies aren't really their style. That doesn't mean they're unhappy or unhealthy. It just means their personality leans toward calmness. They might express their joy in subtler ways, like slow blinks, gentle paw taps, or simply choosing to stay close to you. Age also plays a huge role. Kittens and young cats are zoomie champions. With endless energy and curiosity, they seem to live in a permanent state of practice for the wild. Everything is new, everything is exciting, and zoomies become their way of exploring the world with all the speed their tiny legs can manage. As cats grow older, their zoomies often become less frequent, but not always. Some senior cats still have bursts of youthful madness, surprising their owners with a sudden midnight dash across the carpet. When that happens, it's a beautiful reminder that the spirit of play never fully disappears. Then there's the impact of a cat's history. Cats who grew up in safe, stimulating environments often feel more confident expressing themselves through zoomies. They know their territory, they feel secure, and they trust that their bursts of energy won't get them into trouble. On the other hand, cats who've had difficult past rescues, strays, or those who've lived in stressful conditions may be less likely to zoom. Their energy might express itself in different ways, or they may simply take longer to feel comfortable enough to let loose. And here's something fascinating. Some cats are what you could call social zoomers. They save their energy bursts for when you're around. They dash past you, leap over your legs, and circle the room like you're part of their racetrack. Others are private zoomers, preferring to sprint when no one's watching, usually late at night when the house is dark and quiet. Both are normal, just different ways of living out the same instinct. The diversity in zoomie behavior is a reminder that cats are not a single template. Each one is a unique mix of biology, psychology, and personal history. And instead of comparing your cat to someone else's, the real joy is in understanding your cat's individual style. Whether they zoom daily or almost never, whether they race in wild loops or just trot across the room with a burst of energy, it's all part of who they are. And when you learn to celebrate those differences, you stop asking, why doesn't my cat zoom more? Or why is my cat so crazy? Instead, you start asking the better question, what does this tell me about who my cat really is? Have you ever noticed that zoomies almost always seem to strike at the worst possible time? Midnight, when you're finally drifting off to sleep? Dawn, just as you're trying to cling to a few more minutes in bed? Your cat, meanwhile, is tearing through the hallway like it's the Indy 500. It feels personal, doesn't it? Like they're deliberately choosing the exact moment you want peace and quiet to unleash chaos. But the truth is, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with biology. Cats are what scientists call crepuscular animals. That means their natural rhythm of activity peaks during twilight hours, dawn and dusk. In the wild, these are prime hunting times. Small prey like rodents and birds are most active at these hours. And predators like cats evolved to sync their bodies to this rhythm. Your house cat, no matter how domesticated, still carries that schedule in their DNA. That's why when the sun dips low or begins to rise, your cat feels a surge of energy. Zoomies at midnight or dawn aren't mischieved, they're instinct. What's fascinating is how precise their bodies are in keeping this rhythm. Even indoor cats with no real prey to hunt still follow the crepuscular clock. Their eyes, their muscles, even their hormones align with twilight activity. It's as if their bodies whisper, "This is the moment. Run, hunt, move," and the result? A burst of energy that often happens right when you're least prepared for it. There's also a social dimension. During the day, many cats spend hours alone while their humans are at work or school. They nap, conserve energy, and wait. Then, when you return home more when the quiet of night falls, they release it all at once. To them, it's the perfect time. The house feels safe, their favorite person is nearby, and their instincts are urging them to move. That combination is like striking a match in a room full of fireworks. Some cats even seem to anticipate your routine. If you always settle into bed at 11 p.m., don't be surprised if your cat takes that as their cue to start a Zoomie session. It's not rebellion, it's synchronization. They've learned your rhythm and folded it into their own. Of course, this timing can be frustrating for tired humans, but when you understand the evolutionary logic, it becomes easier to accept. Your cat isn't trying to ruin your sleep. They're following the ancient script written into their very being. To them, the darkness of night or the glow of dawn isn't a time for rest, it's the signal that life is stirring, and it's time to practice being the predator they were born to be. So the next time your cat rockets across the bedroom at 2 a.m., remember, you're not living with a mischievous patour, sharing your space with a twilight hunter whose internal clock has been ticking this way for millions of years. What feels like chaos in the middle of the night is, in fact, perfect timing in the mind of a cat. If there's one thing that unites cat parents everywhere, it's the mixture of emotions Zoomies create. On one hand, they're hilarious. You see your dignified little companion who just moments ago was calmly grooming themselves suddenly tearing through the living room like a wild beast. It's impossible not to laugh. Many owners even grab their phones to record the chaos, turning their cat's late-night madness into viral internet gold. But then comes the confusion. Why does it happen so suddenly? Why now, of all times? You might find yourself asking, is my cat okay? Are they scared? Are they in pain? It can be unsettling, especially for new cat parents who haven't yet learned that this madness is actually normal. To the untrained eye, Zoomies can look like panic attacks or bursts of insanity. Without context, they're baffling, and sometimes, Zoomies even spark frustration. Imagine finally lying down after a long day, only to be jolted awake by the sound of paws skidding across the floor, a lamp toppling over, or a crash in the kitchen. In that moment, laughter disappears and is replaced by exhaustion. Many cat parents admit they've shouted, groaned, or even tried to stop their cats mid-zoom, only to realize later that doing so doesn't really work. The Zoomies have a life of their own, but here's the turning point. Once you understand the science, the instinct, and the meaning behind Zoomies, your perspective shifts completely. What used to look like chaos suddenly becomes clarity. You stop asking, "What's wrong with my cat?" and start thinking, "This is exactly what my cat needs to feel alive." That realization changes everything. Instead of frustration, there's patience. Instead of worry, there's wonder. You begin to see Zoomies not as interruptions to your life, but as windows into your cat's. That late-night sprint isn't just noise, it's your cat's biology in action, their inner hunter unleashed, their trust in you on full display. They're saying, "I feel safe enough here to let go." And once you view it through that lens, Zoomies become moments of connection. You might find yourself laughing again, but this time with deeper appreciation. Some cat parents even join in tossing a toy, running alongside, or simply cheering their cat on as they tear through the house. Others choose to quietly watch, taking joy in the fact that their cat is healthy, energetic, and living fully. The truth is, our reactions to Zoomies shape our cat's experience. Cats are sensitive. They read our tone, our body language, our energy. If we scold, they may become confused or even stressed. If we smile, encourage, or provide outlets, they flourish. Understanding transforms not only the way we see Zoomies, but also the way our cats experience them. In the end, the choice is ours. See Zoomies as chaos, or see them as magic. And when you choose magic, your bond with your cat grows stronger. Suddenly, those wild midnight sprints aren't disruptions anymore, they're gifts. Proof that you're sharing your life with a creature who is not just surviving, but thriving. So what does it all mean? After all the laughter, the chaos, the midnight sprints, and hallway races. What are Zoomies really telling us? The answer is simple, but profound. They're not madness at all. They're life, they're instinct. They're proof that beneath the soft fur and sleepy naps, your cat is still a creature of wild energy, carrying the spirit of hunters who roamed long before us. When your cat explodes into a Zoomie session, you're witnessing nature in action. You're seeing biology, evolution, and emotion collide in a burst of speed that transforms your living room into a savanna, your hallway into a hunting ground. It's easy to see only chaos, but the truth is, Zoomies are among the purest expressions of what it means to be a cat. Their practice, their play, their stress relief, and most importantly, their joy. And hidden inside every Zoomie is a message. I feel safe here. I trust you. This is my home. And I'm free to be myself. Cats don't put those words into sentences, but they show it in motion. Every mad dash is a declaration of belonging, a living reminder that your relationship with your cat is built on something deeper than food and shelter. It's built on trust, instinct, and love. That's why Zoomies are worth celebrating. Because when your cat runs wild, they're not breaking the rules of your home, they're affirming them. They're proving that they're comfortable enough to let loose, to release everything inside without fear. And isn't that what we all want for the ones we love? To see them safe, healthy, and happy enough to show their truest selves. So the next time your cat streaks across the room like a furry missile, don't just roll your eyes. Don't groan about the broken lamp or the scratched floor. Take a breath, smile, and remember, you're not just witnessing chaos, you're witnessing love in motion. You're watching your cat live fully, vibrantly, unapologetically, and that's a gift. Now, I want to hear from you. Does your cat get Zoomies often? What's the funniest or craziest Zoomie story you've ever witnessed? Share it in the comments. I read every single one, and I love hearing your stories. And if you enjoyed uncovering the science and the mystery behind this strange but wonderful behavior, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe. There's so much more to explore in the secret world of cats, and you won't want to miss it. Because Zoomies aren't the end of the story. They're just one chapter in the incredible, complex, and magical life of your feline friend. And by learning to see them not as madness, but as meaning, you've taken one step closer to truly understanding the heart of your cat. If this video helped you see your cat in a new light, don't forget to hit that like button, share your funniest Zoomie story in the comments, and subscribe for more fascinating insights into the secret world of cats. Together, we'll keep uncovering the mysteries that make our feline friends so extraordinary.